Most people don't go into debt because they bought something expensive. They go into debt because life happened. A car broke down. Someone got sick. A paycheck stopped coming. One unexpected event can undo years of financial progress. Unless you're prepared. That's why one simple financial habit can be the difference between staying in control or falling into debt. It's called an emergency fund. But how much money should you really have? Is $1,000 enough? Should you save 3 months of expenses? 6 months? Or even more? In this video, we'll break down exactly how much you could save, where you should keep it, and how to build your emergency fund faster than you might think. Let's get started. An emergency fund sounds simple, but it's one of the most important parts of personal finance. It's not just another savings account. It's money set aside for one purpose only: to protect you when life doesn't go according to plan. Not for vacations, not for shopping, not for upgrading your phone, only for real emergencies. Think about the most common financial surprises. Your car suddenly needs a major repair. You receive an unexpected medical bill. A pipe bursts in your home. Or you lose your job without warning. None of these situations are unusual. They're simply part of life. The problem is, most people prepare for birthdays, vacations, and holidays. But very few prepare for emergencies. That's why one unexpected expense often turns into months or even years of debt. Imagine your car suddenly needs a $2,500 repair. Without savings, you might have no choice but to put it on a credit card. Now that repair doesn't just cost $2,500. It could end up costing thousands more in interest if it takes years to pay off. But if you already have an emergency fund, you simply pay the bill. No panic, no debt, no wondering how you'll make next month's payments. An emergency fund won't stop bad things from happening, but it stops bad things from becoming financial disasters. Think of it as your personal financial safety net. Money you've already saved, so you don't have to rely on debt when life surprises you. And perhaps the biggest benefit isn't financial at all. It's peace of mind. Knowing you're prepared reduces stress. It helps you make better decisions. Because when you're not worried about how you'll pay the next bill, you can focus on solving the problem itself. That's why an emergency fund isn't just another savings goal. It's the foundation of financial security. If emergency funds are so important, why don't more people have one? The answer isn't always low income. In fact, many Americans earning 6 figures still live paycheck to paycheck. How is that possible? Because financial security isn't determined by how much you earn. It's determined by how much you keep. Think about what often happens after someone gets a raise. Instead of saving the extra money, they upgrade their lifestyle. A bigger apartment, a newer car, more monthly payments. Before long, their expenses have grown right alongside their income. This is called lifestyle inflation. The more you earn, the more you spend, until your paycheck is already committed before it even arrives. Then life throws you an unexpected expense. A car repair, a medical bill, a broken appliance, or even worse, a sudden job loss. Without savings, most people reach for a credit card. At first, it feels like an easy solution. I'll pay it off next month. But next month, another bill arrives, and then another. Soon, that one emergency has turned into months or even years of debt. There's another mistake people make. They believe an emergency fund has to be huge before it's worth starting. They hear advice like, Save 6 months of expenses. They do the math and realize they need $20,000, maybe even $30,000. The goal feels overwhelming, so they never begin. But every emergency fund starts exactly the same way, with the first dollar, then the first 100, then the first 1,000. Financial security isn't built overnight. It's built through small, consistent actions. Because when it comes to saving, consistency will always beat perfection. Now let's answer the biggest question. How much should your emergency fund actually be? You've probably heard the advice, save 6 months of expenses. And while that's a great long-term goal, it's not where everyone should start. Instead, think of your emergency fund in 4 stages. Stage 1. Save your first $1,000. If you're starting from zero, forget about saving 6 months right away. Your first goal should simply be $1,000. Why? Because most everyday emergencies don't cost tens of thousands of dollars. A flat tire, a dead car battery, a broken appliance, or an unexpected medical bill. For many people, a $1,000 emergency fund is enough to keep a small problem from turning into credit card debt. Think of it as your first financial safety net. Stage 2. Build 1 month of essential expenses. Once you've reached your first $1,000, your next goal is 1 month of essential living expenses. Notice the word essential. Not vacations, not entertainment, not online shopping. Only the expenses you absolutely need to keep your life running. Your housing, groceries, utilities, insurance, transportation, and minimum debt payments. If your essential expenses total $3,500 a month, that's your next milestone. Stage 3. Save 3 to 6 months. This is where real financial security begins. Let's say your essential expenses are $4,000 each month. A 3-month emergency fund would be $12,000. A 6-month emergency fund would be $24,000. That might sound like a lot. But remember, you're not trying to save it all at once. You're building it little by little, one paycheck at a time. Now imagine losing your job. Without savings, you might be forced to accept the first offer you receive, even if it pays much less than your previous job. But with several months of expenses saved, you have something incredibly valuable. Time. Time to search for the right opportunity. Time to make smart decisions, instead of desperate ones. That's what an emergency fund really gives you. Not just money, but freedom. Stage 4. Who needs more than 6 months? Not everyone's financial situation is the same. If you're a freelancer, a business owner, a commission-based salesperson, or anyone with unpredictable income, you may want to save 6 to 12 months of essential expenses. On the other hand, if you have a stable job and a reliable paycheck, 3 to 6 months may be enough. The goal isn't to reach some magic number. The goal is to create enough financial breathing room, so one unexpected event doesn't become a long-term financial crisis. And remember one important rule. Don't base your emergency fund on your income. Base it on your essential expenses. Because during an emergency, you don't need to replace every dollar you earn. You only need enough to keep your life running until you're back on your feet. Now that you know how much to save, let's talk about where to keep it. This is where many people make a costly mistake. They finally build an emergency fund, then decide to invest it in the stock market. After all, wouldn't it earn a better return? Maybe. But that's not the job of an emergency fund. Imagine you've saved $15,000. You invest every dollar in stocks. A few months later, the market drops 30%. And during that same week, you lose your job. Now your emergency fund has lost thousands of dollars, exactly when you need it most. That's the opposite of what an emergency fund is supposed to do. Its job isn't to grow your money. Its job is to be there when life goes wrong. That's why your emergency fund should be kept somewhere safe, easy to access, and separate from your long-term investments. For most people, a high-yield savings account or a money market account is the best choice. You won't earn huge returns. But that's okay, because you're not investing this money. You're protecting yourself. Remember this simple rule. Investments build wealth. Emergency funds protect wealth. They have different jobs. Don't confuse the two. By now, you might be thinking, this makes sense, but saving thousands of dollars feels impossible. The good news is, you don't have to build it overnight. You just have to start. The easiest strategy: automate your savings. The moment your paycheck arrives, have a small amount transferred directly into your emergency fund. Even if it's only $25 or $50 a week, it adds up faster than you think. Another smart strategy: save unexpected money. Tax refunds, work bonuses, cashback rewards, or any extra income you weren't expecting. Instead of spending it, use it to strengthen your emergency fund. You can also build it faster by cutting just one unnecessary expense. Maybe it's one less restaurant meal each week, or a subscription you rarely use. Small changes may not feel exciting today, but over time, they create real financial security. And before you ever use your emergency fund, ask yourself one simple question. Is this a true emergency, or just something I want? If it's not a real emergency, leave the money alone. Your future self will thank you. Here's the truth. An emergency fund isn't the most exciting part of personal finance. It won't make you rich overnight. It won't double your money. And it probably won't impress anyone on social media. But when life throws you an unexpected challenge, it becomes one of the most valuable financial tools you'll ever have. Because an emergency fund doesn't just protect your money, it protects your peace of mind. It gives you confidence, it gives you options, and it helps you handle life's biggest surprises without falling into debt. So if you haven't started your emergency fund yet, don't wait for the perfect time. Start with your first dollar, because the best time to prepare for an emergency is before it happens. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. Subscribe for more personal finance videos, and let me know in the comments, how many months of emergency savings do you currently have? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.